And joining me now is Assemblyman Pete Lopez from Schoharie. Assemblyman, thanks very much for your time
my
tonight.
Pleasure.
So, it's been now nearly a month since the tropical storm, hurricane, whatever we should be calling it, moved in through your area. What's the status right now of the rebuilding and recovery phase?
I would say we're at a point now where we've reached a slow-moving period, and there was a pretty rapid response, of course, from the emergency rescue standpoint, getting shelter, taking care of people in distress. And we're now at a point, and cleaning debris. I think we're still in the end stages of the massive debris cleanup. We're now at a point where people are beginning to work on their homes and businesses more slowly, and really dealing with bureaucracy, building code issues, insurance claim issues, any number of aspects of documenting need and seeking reimbursement to consider future direction.
Okay, I want to get back to that issue of bureaucracy, but first I just want you to respond to what we've seen going on in Washington. The Congress has had trouble trying to pass a bill that would provide for FEMA aid, including some just general spending measures. What's the sense that you get from your constituents about what's going on in Congress, what's going on in Washington? Is frustration beginning to set in?
I would have to say that, and I can say this because I'm living it. I have family who have been homeless, staff who have been homeless. People who are in the midst of the disaster are focused on what's just in front of them, and that includes aid for replacing their homes or keeping their families whole. The tenor of the community is focus on us as families, individuals, businesses, farms. We're not interested in politics, and we're more interested in results. And what we've seen clearly is a desire from the community to have everyone embrace the aspects of helping farms and businesses and families get back on a level footing and move forward with their lives. So in terms of any aspects that speak of politics or gamesmanship or any of those things, no real tolerance for that, and just a desire to focus on communities and people as individuals, not as parts of a chess game, if you would, opposing forces.
And to that rebuilding effort, just you mentioned the bureaucracy aspect of it and getting through some of the red tape it involves and getting people back into their homes. Are people returning to their homes? Do you get the sense that people want to return to their homes?
I would say some are. And part of the challenge, and it's human nature, for many, the first blush reaction was, we're devastated. Some of the quotes, I can't have my children face this again. I don't want to see their eyes in the midst of crisis. I don't want to see that again. But what's happened is, as individuals consider their position, look around, we see a bit of a return to embracing the community, and really people coming together. Much of it's been tempered by the response from the outside communities. It's been tempered by reinforcement of neighbors who say, well, we are staying, we are rebuilding. So the culture now, and the if you would, the ethos now is really towards trying to reinvest where we can and see how we redefine the communities and move forward.
And, I think last time you were here, you were talking to Liz, and I believe she asked you about what the governor said, the idea that these communities will be rebuilt and be built better than they were before. Do you get the sense, and do you from, again, talking to your constituents, is there an expectation that that things will go back to what was once normal, or is there a new normal that's setting in?
I think people want to go back to life as it was before the flood. People are eager to re-engage as a community, whether it be attending soccer games with their kids or out for picnics in the community, paddling down the creek, fishing, all those things. People want to return to that. As we move forward, what we don't know is what our communities will look like exactly, because we do know there are homes that are compromised. We do know that there will have to be some redirection of where construction and investment can occur. So my sense is communities will move forward, and again, premised on continued support from state and federal government in particular.
How effective have the state programs been so far from what you've seen?
I would have to say that the state is working very hard to try to fill gaps. Most of the aid thus far has been private sector, flood insurance, FEMA direct aid, so federal funds have really been the mainstay to date. The state government, and I give the governor credit, has been working to fill in gaps and trying to come up with new ways of using existing programs to help businesses reinvest, to help farms regain their footing, to look at how we address issues of homeowners and the challenges they face with their situation. So I do give the governor's office and his administration credit for working to be nimble, one, be there in the community, which they've done effectively, but also try to redirect programs. We have more to do, and to be honest, in the next week or so, I'll be asking the governor to reach out to our colleagues and bring us back for special session to consider additional relief measures that could provide that flexibility we need.
What needs to be done? What additional relief measures?
Well, there are huge issues. For example, one of the proposals I'm thinking of doing would be steering investment and infrastructure investment and putting priorities on helping distressed communities rebuild, ideally even outside of the floodplains, in areas where they may not have built before. Looking at redirecting money from the Regional Economic Development Councils, which the governor and lieutenant governor have been advancing through the summer and fall. Your
Republican leader in the Assembly has actually called for that as well.
He has, and Mr. Kolb has put a number value on that amount that he's requesting. I think that's excellent as a starting place. My sense would be to reinforce that and not necessarily put a $50 million, I think was his target. Maybe use that as a benchmark to assess need, but redirect priority. And the premise there is, if our goal is to keep the state healthy, think about all the businesses and other economic enterprises that have been damaged. Existing contracts, existing employees, millions, possibly billions of dollars of economic activity. And if we don't anchor them and they leave, we face really the economic bankruptcy of many of these upstate and rural communities. So what better way to make use of state resources for this purpose, even as we try to build other new businesses and recruit people to the area.
So calling for a special session, you would presumably have bills in place. I mean, what would have to be done before a special session to go in and I mean, I know some of your other Assembly colleagues, for instance, Jim Tedisco, and I think along with Senator Hugh Farley, they proposed a sales tax suspension for flood victims as well. Is that some? Well, first question is that something that would also be considered? And secondly, just what would need to be in place, and when would you need to hold a special session in order to get this done?
Well, ideally, I would think the sooner the better. And I'll use another illustration. And this one is a complex issue, but we have any number of home and business owners who are saying, geez, our school tax bills have just come in. How can we be expected to pay them in a timely fashion without penalty? And secondly, how do we justify paying those taxes at the level of assessment that preceded the flood? Our homes are now worth much less than they were at the time of assessment, which was end of March, early April.
Now, the governor, I believe he did actually extend a deadline for some school districts who were affected by the floods to basically pay their tax bill a little bit later in the year.
Sure, and to put that in perspective for many in the community, school property taxes really are often half of the total property taxes an individual may pay, sometimes greater. So you're looking at thousands of dollars in some cases that are due, with maybe an extension of possibly 21 days. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a humane gesture, but in terms of the realistic impact, it's barely a Band-Aid. It gives you time for an additional gulp of air as you're submerged again.
Okay, we're almost out of time, but I do want to ask you, on a somewhat lighter note,
sure.
David Letterman, talk show host, is actually, he's mentioning in his monologue a plea to have to actually help out Schoharie County and the village of Schoharie in general, because he actually a little while ago had some fun at Schoharie's expense. Schoharie laughed along a little bit. but at the same time, he's now, after I believe you guys made some overtures to him and his staff.
Yeah, we actually reached out to CBS and to the Letterman's producer, Letterman Show's producer, and made an earnest request for his help in magnifying the visibility of the situation. And so, in conversation with their managing executives, they're going to highlight Schoharie, they're going to highlight Schoharie County, but as importantly, they're going to highlight the plight of the region, which is many, many counties with thousands of people suffering. So they, to their credit, and this to me is a departure from many of his shows, there will be probably some more fun at Schoharie's expense. And I actually sent a picture of the mayor dressed as a giant pumpkin in a Halloween outfit, which he hasn't seen yet. They may or may not air it, and he'll kill me once he finds out I've sent it to the show. However, the aspect of reaching out, because many people say, what can we do? And so this will help provide some guidance and direction and keep the visibility up.
Very good. So, well, Assemblyman, thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Pleasure. You see.